Hello, and welcome to today's session. As always, I'm your host, Kevin Grote, Technical Partner Manager here at VMware. Today, we're going to be talking about VSAN 6.1, specifically around ROBO, or Remote or Branch Office. Seems to be a lot of confusion around the ideas with ROBO and virtual SAN, and now that we have all these concepts of stretch clusters, I thought it was a pretty good idea for us to dispel some of the confusion and make sure that everybody's on the same page as we start to leverage these technologies in cool new ways across multiple data centers. And yes, those data centers sometimes include our remote or branch offices. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing to realize when we're talking about remote or branch office, and I really can't underline this enough, is that this is a use case meant for ROBO type of workloads. So if you remember, a ROBO workload is limited to 25 virtual machines per remote or branch office. And so a lot of the information that you see here is going to be targeted directly at that. A lot of the information on the next slide about sizing is going to be talking specifically about what we have for these remote or branch office common types of implementations. But start at the beginning. We have here inside of this example 3 remote or branch offices. So let's just call them 3 remote data centers. And inside of those 3 remote data centers, we're leveraging vSphere ROBO and we're leveraging VSAN for ROBO. And with that, we want to ensure that we can monitor them effectively. So here's how it works. You can see that you've got inside of this example where you have remote or branch office solution diagrams for ROBO. You're going to have 1 witness per virtual SAN cluster. We remember that that witness VM is going to be deployed and used for quorum as well as a voting mechanism in the case of a failure. And that witness can be deployed either inside of a third site, secondary site, which in this case is going to be the centralized data center, or it could be deployed inside of vCloud Air. That witness, as you recall, is just an ESXi appliance. And that witness is only there to store metadata, not anything that actually has to do with the VMs. This will allow all of the sites to be managed centrally by one vCenter. So all of the patching and upgrades are going to be performed directly through that centralized vCenter. And it's a one-to-one relationship, which means if there are 5 ROBOs, then there will be 5 witness VMs. If there are 3 ROBOs, there will be 3 witness VMs. So this gives you a kind of a little bit of a clearer picture as to what we're doing with the witness VM. Additionally, we also offer support now for 2 node clusters for ROBO. And in this diagram, we're seeing that inside of each of the individual sites. So no longer with ROBO do you have to have 3 virtual SAN hosts to create a virtual SAN inside of your remote site. You can do it now with just 2 hosts. So within that space, we're using the witness VM to help us provide that quorum and serve as that voting mechanism, so we no longer need to have minimum of 3 hosts inside of each space. This also aligns much more closely with the types of workload size deployments, anywhere from 5 to 10 to a maximum of 25 virtual machines inside of those ROBO instances. So talking about sizing, let's look closer into that topic. So here we can see that we have a 2-node ROBO solution overviewed the same way we had before. Communication between ROBO and the witness is going to be done with unicast. You're not going to need multicast inside of this space. And here you see some requirements for the round trip time over the network. The resource requirements, if we were to assume somewhere around 5 to 10 virtual machines inside of each remote or branch office, you're going to need about 15 gigs of capacity and about 10 gigs for the caching tier. So that would be thin provisioning. You could utilize that as well to save cost. You're going to need 2 virtual CPUs and 8 gigs of memory. So you can see inside of those ROBO spots, you're really not going to need a lot of hardware. Plus, the fact that you only need 2 hosts means it's all the more efficient. So what's changed inside of PP&L, or product packaging and licensing, with ROBO? Let's take a closer look. Can see that you have Virtual SAN Standard and Virtual SAN Advanced. And let's just zoom in on that for 1 second before we get into ROBO. The key difference between Standard and Advanced is the availability for a stretched cluster. If you're not familiar with the concept of stretched clustering, please check out this video. However, the new changes, the green dots, between Standard and Advanced are the integration with the vRealize Operations Management Pack to provide a global view and to provide integrations, forecasting, and predictability for vSAN, and also the vSphere replication 5-minute RPO integration. We remember that is available exclusively with Virtual SAN and vSphere replication. But now if we look at ROBO, we see here that we're no longer going to be doing stretched clustering. So Virtual SAN for ROBO, again, it's 25 virtual machines per pack, maximum 1 pack per site. So you're going to have a maximum of 25 remote or branch office virtual machines existing per site, a minimum of 2 nodes for that Virtual SAN ROBO cluster, and you're not going to be looking at doing stretched clustering inside of this space, simply because you've got a one-to-one mapping of witness appliances from the centralized location out to those remote or branch offices. So each one of them is really kind of an island unto itself, hence remote or branch office. There's a lot of great ways to get started understanding more about Virtual SAN, including hands-on labs, product walkthroughs, detailed videos, not to mention some of the other content that's here inside of this playlist. Be sure to reach out to your local VMware SE team if you have any questions. And as always, thank you very much for taking the time today. Hopefully you found value in this session, and I look forward to talking to you again really soon.